Hello, cats and kittens. I am not Carole Baskin, and I did not murder my husband. In fact, I am Eric Hoernke, and welcome back to Zero Production Value Movie Reviews. Today, if you didn't guess it, I'm going to be talking about the 2020 Netflix limited series Tiger King: Murder, Mayhem, and Madness. Yeah. A savage journey to the heart of the American dream. Hunter S. Thompson wrote that, and I don't think it has ever been more appropriate than when being applied to Tiger King. Now, he wrote it for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, but I think it applies here. So like I said, this is a documentary from earlier this year, 2020, that has become somewhat of a national phenomenon. I don't know if it's due to it in and of itself, or if it has something to do with the pandemic that's going on and people are just starving for new content. I'm not sure if I really want to laugh or cry as to what this says about our society. And honestly, watching this, I don't know if I wanted to laugh or cry, because I probably should have done both at various times. Nominally, this is about the former owner of the Wynnewood Zoo in Oklahoma, Joe Exotic. I don't remember his other names, but he goes by Joe Exotic. He ran this private zoo in Oklahoma, touted himself as this loudmouth, braggart, gay, gun-toting redneck. And he went from one of the foremost private zoo owners probably in the country to behind bars, and maybe for life. It wasn't just like a, hey, we're going to put you behind bars for a little while. Like, he's behind bars for probably what might be the balance of his life, pending appeals, shall we say. It's really tough to kind of narrow down what the focus or maybe what the crux of this documentary was going for. Unless it's just it was literally just to throw all this stuff at the screen, with Joe Exotic kind of being the nucleus and then everything swirling around and just kind of like throwing crap at a wall and whatever stuck, hey, watch this train wreck in slow motion kind of thing. But I mean, because it's an expose of Joe's life through this profession and kind of what he did with it, as well as in his private life as he ran for president and governor at one point. Did he really mean to do that? Was it a publicity stunt? Who knows? It's an expose of the supposed big cat people, of which Joe was one of the foremost of those people. These are the people in this country, kind of one of those subsets of society, those kind of subcultures of people who own big cats. And of those people who own big cats, there's like an upper echelon of these people who basically breed big cats in order to sell them for money. And people can get away with that nominally by having a facility that's a zoo or a cat rescue or whatever you want to call it. And now they have a legitimate place of business that they can bring people to, and they can breed cats and sell cats. And apparently, as of right now, there's no real law against it. And then ultimately, this leads us to Joe's fall, rise and subsequent fall due to basically his ego and his incredibly poor decision making. So I gotta admit too, like when this dropped, I did not think I knew Joe Tiger King Exotic at all. I'm like, man, what is this crazy Tiger King thing everybody's talking about? Like all of a sudden, it was literally like overnight. Like it went from zero to like I saw like, I don't know, 60 people on Facebook talking about this thing. And it was funny because I actually put a Facebook comment out there that said like, hey, I've been working for the last month, out of the country, outer space, whatever. What did I miss? And a friend responded, oh, global pandemic, and everybody's watching this show about this redneck gay, zoo owner in Oklahoma. That was kind of a clever response. But in any case, that's not true. I didn't know who he was, and I didn't even realize it until it was about midway through this show, and they focus on his running for president and the campaign videos he produced. And he was actually featured on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, of which I am a avid watcher of that show. He is one of the funniest people out there. And I forgot that he spent some time talking about Joe Exotic, and I remember watching one of his campaign videos going, oh my God, can this world get any weirder? And apparently it can. So, that being said, so this does, one thing I will know to tell you too, based on like watching this, and it starts out with Joe, and it quickly introduces you to all these big cat people throughout the story, you know, and one of them is like Doc Antle in Myrtle Beach area. I'll give a little shout out because I live in the Myrtle Beach area, and I'm like, I've never gone to that place. I don't even know who that dude is, but I kind of knew that place was here somewhere, but I've never actually been there to his cat place. But whether it's him, it's the Jeff Lowe guy, it's Tim Stark, or even maybe Carole Baskin, like, they're all pointing fingers like, that guy's bad, that guy's corrupt, that guy's a criminal, this guy's done that, he's done this, they've all done this other stuff. They are all bad. This is one of those things where more than one thing can be true, right? It's not like because he's saying he's bad, that must mean he's good. No, they're all different shades of kind of awful people, if I took anything away from this. And then there's the conundrum that is Carole Baskin. So everybody's probably seen the meme, the Carole Baskin killed her husband memes. She's this person who runs this big cat rescue in Florida, and like I said, somewhat of a conundrum as she runs this rescue, but it operates like a lot of these other big cat facilities that she's kind of fighting against, and they're all fighting against her. She's trying to get legislation through that prevents these big cats from being bred. You know, a lot of people have said she murdered her first husband. There's like a lot of an episode dedicated to people talking about it, although ultimately there is no evidence proving it. And, you know, while absence can't indicate guilt, you know, it is kind of suspicious that the husband is just gone and has never even popped up, even with this all going on, you know. So it stands to reason that the husband is no longer on this earth. But whether or not Carole Baskin killed him, maybe she did. I don't know. But like I said, I don't necessarily think that this show lays out the facts in the most, shall we say, magnanimous way. You know, it's not. It's designed to be salacious. It's designed to want you to go down that path. It doesn't really give you much as far as a benefit of the doubt, right? But in any case, whether or not she did, that's like almost like a subset story. Like, really what it is focused on here is her feud with Joe, which Joe starts and he escalates rather quickly, and he does some pretty heinous things as far as what he posts on his, you know, like reality channel, his YouTube channel, whatever, you know, as far as stuff against Carole. And then she comes back and basically just sues the hell out of him because she has a lot of resources from the missing dead husband. And they pointed that out. Like, she had him declared dead at like the day after she could have him declared dead for missing. And she basically got control of all of his money. So she's got a lot of resources, and she sues Joe into the ground. And this feud escalating is what leads him to financial difficulties. Ultimately, he goes down the path in the most rednecky way possible, finds this murder for hire plot of how he wants to kill her, supposedly. And it just seems the wackiest thing. You know, it's something that a bad TV show would come up with, as far as like an idiot trying to figure out how he wanted to off somebody. I mean, it's that ridiculous, and it's real life. So, but basically, she provides a foil and an enemy for Joe, which leads to his downfall. Joe himself is the portrait of a tragic Shakespearean figure. Like, he rises, and actually, one of the more interesting things in the whole story to me was Joe talking early on. So they tried to tack on at the end sort of a moral to the story kind of thing, I guess. But Joe was talking in clips when he was, I guess, just starting out, it looked like, that he, wanted legislation for cats. He wanted to stop breeding. It sounded like he had a mentality that was in the right place starting out. But it's one of those things, like, as, he got more and more money, got more and more notoriety, got more and more power, was able to leverage this into things and people that he wanted and could control. Like, it just consumed him. And that money and power corrupted those original naive ideals. He was a gay man with 2 straight husbands. He started this war against Carole, which ultimately led to him, hiring some dude who he didn't even really know or like to supposedly murder her. He ran for president and governor of Oklahoma. He made deals ultimately with Jeff Lowe, which led to him losing everything. And ultimately, it was his hubris and this sense of infallibility, which probably is delusions of grandeur, which eventually led to this epic fall and collapse. And when the dust settled, he had been such a rotten person to so many people that nobody even wanted to stand up for him. Nobody wanted to be there for him. And you add in the murder for hire plot with the fact that the government had evidence that he euthanized healthy tigers, and that kind of put the last nails in his coffin. And now he's serving not a life sentence, I don't forget what the number is, but with his age, he could very well be in prison for the rest of his life. So at the end, what do we get? It's just a bonkers reality show. I mean, the stuff that it goes through, it beggars the imagination, and it is like watching a train wreck, something like you can't look away from all these kind of horrible people making themselves miserable for the most part. And it seemed like the best people in it were the people who were just able to directly work with and for the animals, even though at times they even had their failings, like they couldn't stand up to Joe to do anything to help the situation. It's extremely sad when you see the one guy, talk about these animals and how he cared about them, and then had to basically stand by and felt powerless while, Joe maybe dispatched some of them in front of him. I mean, it was awful. And I'm sure that guy carries those wounds. And then, like I said, they kind of ultimately try to tack on a, big cats in captivity is bad sort of moral. But by the time you get to the end, it's been so salacious that I don't know that message really registers at that point. It's been an inundation of like lights, and then all of a sudden you flash some dark and people are just too blinded by the light. Plus, it feeds our need for this salacious reality show, the complete opposite of Real Housewives, but the same general mentality kind of, expose. People that we can look at and say, oh, look at how messed up everybody else is. Maybe my messed up isn't that messed up. But in any case, they did try to tack on the moral of, big cats in captivity is not necessarily the greatest thing. So, I do give them a little bit of credit for that, but I think it should have been more of a thread throughout the entire show, if that's something that they wanted to push, as a theme for all this craziness. So, this is, though, incredibly watchable and incredibly entertaining. Bizarre to think that these are real people out there walking the planet. It is very entertaining documentary, though. So I had a good time watching it, and if you let it, it does make you think at the end about this subset of society and what it says about us as a whole. So, in any case, I'm gonna give Tiger King: Murder, Mayhem, and Madness a B. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching this review. I enjoyed making it. As always, I am Eric Hoernke. That rhymes with turnkey. And this has been a production of Zero Value. Thanks for watching. See ya. Closest thing I could get to a tiger shirt.